Hare Hare.
Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra.
Jaya Parama Karuna Nitai Gaura Chandra Parama Karuna Nitai Gaura Chandra.
Jaya Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai
Jaya Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya
Prabhupada
Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jaya Parama Karuna Nitai Gaur Chandra Parama Karuna Nitai Gaur Chandra
Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra
Jaya Parama Karuna Nitai Gaur Chandra Parama Karuna Nitai Gaur Chandra
Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra
Jaya Parama Karuna Nitai Gaur Chandra Parama Karuna Nitai Gaur Chandra
Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra
Parama Karuna Nitai Gaur Chandra Parama Karuna Nitai Gaur Chandra
Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra
Jaya Nitai Gaur Chandra Nitai Gaur Chandra Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya Nitai Gaur Chandra
Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra
Nitai Gaur Chandra Nitai Gaur Chandra, Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya, Nitai Gaur Chandra.
Jaya Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya, Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya, Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya, Nitai Gaur Chandra. Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya, Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya, Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya, Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya. Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya, Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya, Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya, Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya, Nitai Gaur Chandra. Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya, Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya, Parama Karuna Jaya, Nitai Gaur Chandra. Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya, Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya, Parama Karuna Jaya, Nitai Gaur Chandra. Jai Shri Parama Karuna Nitai Gaur Chandra ki Jai.
Kiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chandi Arati Kashaba.
Kiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Kashobha.
Kiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chandi Arati Kashaba.
Kiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Kashobha.
Janave Tatabani Jagamanaloba.
Janavi Tatavani Jagamanalobha.
Janavi Tatabani Jagamanaloba.
Janavi Tatavani Jagamanalobha.
Dake Nitacha Vamigaradara.
Dake Nitachane Vamigaradara.
Dake Nitacha Vamigaradara.
Dake Nitachan Vamigaradara.
Nikati Advaitasini Vachachachadara.
Nikati Advaita Shrini Vasachhatranara.
Nikati Advaitasini Vachachachadara.
Nikati Advaita Shrini Vasachhatranara.
Achi Gurachan Ratna Simasami.
Oshe Ache Gaurachan Ratna Simhasane.
Vashe Achi Gurachan রত্নসীমাসামে
বসে আছে গৌরাচান রত্ন সিংহাসনে
পরতি করেন ব্রহ্মা অদিদেবাগামে
করে না ব্রহ্মা আরে রে
আরতি করেন ব্রহ্মা অদিদেবাগামে আরতি
করে না ব্রহ্মা আরে রে
নারারে আদি করে চামরুলায়া
নারারে আরে করে চমড়া ধুলায়া
নারারে আদি করে চামরুলায়া
নারারে আরে করে চমড়া ধুলায়া
সঞ্জয়াম কুন্দবাজু ঘোষরি গায়া সঞ্জয়াম কুন্দবাজু ঘোষরি গায়া শঙ্কা বাজে ঘন্টা বাজে বাজে করতাল শঙ্কা
বাজে ঘন্টা বাজে বাজে করতাল
শঙ্কা বাজে ঘন্টা বাজে বাজে করতাল
শঙ্কা বাজে ঘন্টা বাজে বাজে করতাল
মাধুরামে রঙ্গ বাজে পরম রসাল মধু মধুরামে রঙ্গ বাজে পরম রসাল মধু 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 বাজে মধু
মাধুর মাধুর বাজে
শঙ্কা বাজে ঘন্টা বাজে মধু 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 বাজে
শঙ্কা বাজে ঘন্টা বাজে মাধুর মাধুর মাধুরা বাজে
শঙ্কা বাজে ঘন্টা বাজে মধু 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 বাজে
শঙ্কা বাজে ঘন্টা বাজে মাধুর মাধুর মাধুরা বাজে
মধু 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 বাজে
মাধুর মাধুর মাধুরা বাজে
মধুর মধুর মধু বাজে
মাধুর মাধুর মাধুরা বাজে
জয় পরম করুণা জয় নিতাই গৌরচন্দ্র জয় পরম করুণা জয় নিতাই গৌরচন্দ্র
জয় পরম করুণা জয় নিতাই গৌরচন্দ্র জয়
নিতাই গৌরচন্দ্র জয় নিতাই গৌরচন্দ্র জয় নিতাই গৌরচন্দ্র নিতাই গৌরচন্দ্র জয় নিতাই গৌরচন্দ্র বাহু kote chandrajine vadana ujala
कोटि चंद्राजिने वदना
bahu kote chandrajine vadana ujala
बाहो कोटि चंद्राजिने वदना उजाला
gala dise banamala udi jalamala gala dise banamala udi jalamala gala Shiva Sukha Narada Premi Garagara
Shiva Sukha Narada Preme Garagara
Shiva Sukha Narada Premi Garagara
Shiva Sukha Narada Preme Garagara
Vakati Vinodadiki Murada Sampada Shiva Jaya Jaya Gora Chandi Arati Kashava Jana Vitata Vani Jagamana Lova Jana Vitata Vani Jaga Jana Mana Lova Jaga Jana
Manalova
Kurange Arutika Shubha Jaga Jana Mana Lova
Range Aratika Shava Jaga Jaga Manalova
Kurange Arutika Shubha Jaga Jana Mana Lova
Range Aratika Shava Jaga Jaga Manalova
Jaga Jana Mana Lova Jaga Jana Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Gauranga.
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Gauranga. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, pray. Nitai go.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Gauranga Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Hari Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Jaya Parama Karuna Nitai Gaur Chandra Parama Karuna Nitai Gaur Chandra
Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya
Paramakaruna Nitai Gaur Chandra Paramakaruna Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya Paramakaruna Nitai Gaur Chandra Paramakaruna Nitai Gaur Chandra Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaur Hari Bol
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaur Hari Bol
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaur Hari
Shri Shri Paramakaruna Nitai Gaur Chandra Ki
Jam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivajakacharsha Tatar Sada Shishimad His Avangvar Sabhayacharna Bhakti Vedanta Jagadguru Samashila Prabhupada Ki Jai His Kanmiviti Fongnaracharya His Avangvar Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivajakacharsha Tatar Sada Shishimad His Avangvar Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namachar Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुन राधा कुन गिर गोवर्धन की जय श्री मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय श्री पुष्टम शेष जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय श्री नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय गंगा माया जमुना माई की जय भक्ति देवी की जय श्रीमती तुलसी देव महारानी की जय श्री गुरुधर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय श्री प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडल बुक्स डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय Shri Shri Paramakarnitai Gaura Chandra Ki Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Chandra Ki Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Chandra Ki Jai Samaveda Gaura Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande All glories to the assembly of the devotees All glories to the assembly of the devotees All glories to the assembly of the devotees All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga All glories to Srila Prabhupada
Namaste Narasringaya
Namaste Narasringaya
Namaste Narasringaya
Namaste Narasringaya
Pralada Lada Dhaire Purvaksha
Akashe Purvaksha
Shilatankana Kalaine
Shilatankana Kalaine
Iton Shringa Paraton Shringa
Iton Shringa Paraton Simha
Yato yato yamitato nashringa
Yato yato yamitato nasimha
Ahe nashringa hidaye nashringa
Ahe nashringa hidaye nashringa
Narashringa madhim saranam papade
Narashringa madhim saranam prapade
Tava kara kamalavari nakamadhuta shringam Darita hiranyakashipu tanu bringam Keshavadrita narahari rupa Jai Jagadisha Hari Jai Jagadisha Hari Jai Jagadisha Hari
Tava kara kamalavare nakam
Darita hiranyakashipu Dominga Kesavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jagadish Hare Bolo Kesavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Udayan Shingadev, 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 Dayan Shingadev, Dayan Shingadev, 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 Dayan Shingadev. Jaya Prahlad Summa, Jaya Prahlad Summa, Jaya Prahlad Summa, Jaya Prahlad Summa. Jaya Prahlad Shinga, Jaya Prahlad Shinga, Jaya Prahlad Shinga, Jaya. Nita Go Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Haribo, Tagore Haribo, 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 Gaur Haribo. Shri Prahlad Narasimha Bhagwan ki, Shri Paramakarnitai Gaur Chandra ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Thai Gaur Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Paramakarnitai Gaur Chandra ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. So let us don't get carried away. Generally, when we come for any function at the temple and we attend the Artik ceremony, it means that the next thing is prasadam. So please, please write it down in your notebook this evening. The program begins with Artik, and it will conclude with a ecstatic kirtan by His Grace Mayapur Chandradoya Prabhu. So in between, there is a little sandwich kind of arrangement for this evening, already been packed with kirtan and artik, kirtan and, darshan of their Lordship, Sri Sri Paramakarnitai Gaurachandra. We'll be hearing some ecstatic and encouraging words, memories and reflections from some of the devotees who would have participated 5 years ago right here in the temple room, as their Lordship would have moved from Lot 13 and take their asan, their Shringasan, into their new home here that we call ISKCON of Guyana Hare Krishna Study Center. So we have devotees like His Grace Rajrishi Prabhu, Paramatma Prabhu, Damaraj Dev Prabhu, our priests, His Grace Rupa Goswami Prabhu. Hopefully we'll get Shantavigra Prabhu and Haridas Prabhu to share some thoughts and a few encouraging words, glorification of their Lordship, Sri Sri Paramakarnitai Gaurachandra. And then in between all that, there will be a few minutes video presentation of what went on 5 years ago. And I'm sure, you know, you want to call up your friends and all your devotees, colleagues and God brothers, God sisters. This is something that you don't want to miss. It would have been one of its kind that would have took place here in the Caribbean and in Georgetown, Guyana. The decor, the presentation, the yagya, the whole arrangement for the yagya, you just saw some little glimpse of pictures earlier, but you will see it almost live and, you know, installing the chakra. And then the Maha Artik, you will have some, you know, you'll get some glimpses of the Maha Artik that was performed by His Grace Kratu Maharaj, who happened to pass through Guyana that time, 5 years ago, on his only visit to Guyana. So without any further ado, we'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all the devotees who are present here with us, and those of you who are joining us virtually. And you're into quite a bit this evening. And a little teaser for all of us that a month after today, which would have been from the 13th to the 17th of July, would have been the 5 days grand inauguration festival. So that is a little teaser that if we are celebrating 5th anniversary of moving into the temple, it means 5 years of the inauguration are coming up. And the inauguration would have means, you know, quite a bit. A lot of things would have happened. So the little kirtan that we'll get a few minutes kirtan at the end of this evening session will be a little warm-up or a little trailer of what you will be getting for 5-6 days, virtually, of course, for many of us, and those of us who are, you know, close by here will take it in live and direct. But it will be 5, 6, 7 days of kirtan and bhajans and memories and glorifications and also projections for the next 5 years. So without any further ado, we'd like to humbly request our dearmost, His Grace Rajarishi Prabhu. Rajarishi Prabhu, if you like to come on with your video, it will be good. A few words of encouragement or whatever impression you had 5 years ago when you would have participated here in the moving over ceremony. Please, it will be most wonderful to hear you here this evening. Rajesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We can hear you, Rajesh Prabhu. Go ahead.
Jnanatimirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshur litam jena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasari Gura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So once again, it's a privilege to be among all the wonderful Vaishnavas virtually to share in the activities 5 years after this inauguration. I see that whole inauguration and so on as a harvest. It's not like that is the destination. The devotees had been working hard for years, trying to prepare a place for their lordship and for the missionary activities. So when it came to that inauguration ceremony, that was just like a harvest. But the journey is continuing. Individuals' spiritual life, they're continuing offerings to Krishna. Nice platform was established. Lord present. And the devotees haven't deviated from the purpose. Hare Krishna Study Center has continued despite the pandemic and all the difficult situations, has continued to be the voice of Guyana in terms of ISKCON's sharing and interacting. So let us see this as a continuing journey for us for our spiritual life to grow and for us to continue to make offerings to Krishna, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Srila Prabhupada. And that whole episode, that whole ceremony, everything was certainly one of the greatest experiences that devotees in the Caribbean have had. In fact, as I was looking at those pictures during the kirtan, I remembered myself and Kratu Prabhu. Kratu is from India. Myself and Kratu, we lived together in Vancouver, West Canada, long ago. So we know each other well. So I remember while we sat, the Jagya was so impressive. Kratu asked me if all these priests were trained in India. I said no, they were trained after Mangalarti this morning. Yes, it was so, Rupa Goswami Prabhu, this may have been one of the best things, he did in terms of Jagya, but that was so amazing and so impressive that even Kratu, who came from India, he was so impressed at how all the devotees and I think some of the priests, somebody arrived late also, and they were getting some guidance and instruction later. But anyway, that was quite an amazing and astonishing, spectacular thing that we saw, that jug here. But anyway, as I said, that was a nice harvest after the devotees worked very hard for years, endeavoring to provide a place for the Lord and for preaching. So certainly, with Prabhupada, Dev Prabhu, there is always, exciting and new plans and dynamic. He is, being able to keep, the devotees, enthused and continuing to make wonderful presentations, despite the devotees' many engagement and involvements and so on, like Hari Kirtan and Sachi Sutta. I was so glad to hear Maya Chandra Prabhu because I was just hoping he didn't get washed away in all that big flood there, so it was good to, I'd been thinking about him for a while, and I was glad to hear him in Kirtan. So anyway, it's, very ecstatic that devotees could continue to participate and make their offering to Krishna through this wonderful project. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Rajesh Prabhu, thank you very much to always being there for us. And as much as Rajesh Prabhu was speaking there, one of the things that we will like that for all the devotees to acknowledge, at least from my side, from the very beginning, before I leave home and join the temple, after we started to chant and practice Krishna consciousness, maybe 3-4 months would have passed. His Grace Rajarshi Prabhu and Balakrishna Prabhu happens to visit our hometown, Cane Grove. I think that was probably 1988 or something like that. And it was a Sunday morning, and he participated in a Mandir satsang program. But that would have created such an impression in my mind that, for the last 34 years or so, 33, 34 years, Rajarshi Prabhu have been one of my main inspiration in Krishna consciousness. So thank you very much, Rajarshi Prabhu, that a lot of what is happening here and what are, have been going on is due to your blessings and your inspiration. And please, continue to be there for us and give us your blessings and your guidance. It will go a far way in molding. Still, the project here, it's in its budding stage. So it will go a far way in assisting us to, take this project to a different level. Later on in this evening session, something very special will unfold. A letter that Srila Prabhupada would have wrote, I think in this late 60s or early 70s to Vaikuntanath Prabhu about Guyana and having a center in either Trinidad or Guyana. So the devotees will get to hear that letter by Srila Prabhupada this evening. So at this point in time, we'd like to ask one of the members here who would have participated as a youth, as a young man, in the construction and everything that was unfolding. He was in front or behind or middle the scene. I don't know, where he was, maybe all over the place. His Grace Sachisuta Prabhu would have, as a youth, as a teenager, would have had the opportunity, like many of us never had, from the beginning of his Krishna conscious career, from when he joined in 2010-11, the construction here would have started. And he grew with the construction of the temple. And even if you saw the pictures of the outside of the temple, the day when we were moving in, the deities, it was all unfinished. And how is it that it reached to whatever it looked like now, within a month for the grand, 5 days inauguration festival? So without any further ado, we'd like to invite His Grace Sachisuta Prabhu to share a few reflections, memories, and maybe tears and blood that he would have experienced for those few days. Sachisuta Prabhu.
Om Gyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Hare Krishna. So, thank you for Prabhudev Prabhu for having me here and for giving me this opportunity. So it's a very wonderful occasion that we are all participating this evening. And for me, from the beginning of my Krishna consciousness, I got the great fortune to be part of a magnificent, amazing project here at Hare Krishna Study Center, to be in the company of wonderful Vaishnavas, devotees. And even up to now, as I reflect on many, many experiences, especially the grand Mandir Pravesham ceremony, moving over of their Lordship Shri Shri Paramakaranitai Gaurachandra, and so many other wonderful festivals that would have taken place here, I am indeed very blessed and most fortunate to have these opportunities and to be here on the ground to have the full experience. And whatever little would have received over these years, I can only attest it to all the devotees, to their encouragement, to their blessings, and that is what keeps me going. The blessings of their Lordship, Shri Shri Paramakaranitai Gaura Chandra. So, for me, the Mandir Pravesham ceremony was very great, was very grand, in the sense that so many devotees would have engaged in the preparation work to get all the paraphernalias together, to get everything well organized, and also, still in my mind, it's like a very fresh experience of the entire ceremony, the many wonderful priests and the proceedings, the kirtan, the ecstatic kirtan. It was such a memorable occasion that it will create a lasting impression in my heart. And many times we think that, Krishna consciousness is difficult, but Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness, it's, it's, so Krishna consciousness is not difficult, but it's how we apply ourselves, basically. So we should be very thankful, whatever opportunities we are getting in this lifetime, to be part of such a project, to be integrally involved, and to engage in many wonderful services. And whatever has manifested here over these last 10 years or so, it is only by the, by great efforts of many devotees, many wonderful devotees, who sacrificed and rendered, dedicated services over the years. And this is the outcome. Here we are, as Prabhu mentioned, as Rajarshi Prabhu mentioned, this is not the end of the journey. This is just, we are on the journey, to honor these auspicious events, to honor the 5th anniversary of their Lordships moving to their new home. It's not the end. We have a long way more to go. But nevertheless, we all can do this together. We can continue to make our offerings. And by working together, we can able to realize and achieve, more and more in terms of the vision and purpose of this project. So in my conclusion, I would like to extend and appreciate all the devotees who would have participated throughout the years in serving continuously their Lordships, participating in all the programs, the festival, and the activities that goes on at Hare Krishna Study Center. Whatever this project is, it is all due to the devotees. The devotees are the life and soul, and the Lordship Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Chandra are the life and soul of the devotees. So with these few words, I want to thank each and every one of you who are joining in, and thank you once again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Sachisuta Prabhu, for those few words. As we were discussing, and we were part of, into the program here, our GBC, my dear Guru Maharaj, Virbahu Maharaj, he would have sent, I don't know how it works, some of those same letters and corresponding with Srila Prabhupada. In the beginning days, Prabhupada would have, been in contact with a few individuals here in Guyana in the late 60s, early 70s. Even when Vaikuntanath Prabhu, I think, came here, Prabhupada was in close contact with him. So our GBC, Virbahu Prabhu, would have just sent us some extra from those letters that he said we can read in between the session here this evening. So that's an addition to what we would have already highlighted. So we have a few devotees that are lined up to speak. Dharmaraj Dev, Rupa Goswami Prabhu, Shantavigra, Paramatma Prabhu, maybe later on Haridas Prabhu also. So we humbly request those devotees to please, concise your presentation, as we will want to finish by 8:30 at least, and at the same time we will want to see that video of what took place 5 years ago, and at the same time we will want to hear some of Srila Prabhupada's words, his interest in Guyana. Prabhupada seemingly had, some keen interest in Guyana or the Caribbean, Guyana and Trinidad especially. So Hari Kirtan will begin. In between, we will do some of the reading. After Hari Kirtan, we will ask His Grace, we will be bringing on Damaraj Dev Prabhu. And then again, Hari Kirtan, we'll do a little reading, then we'll have His Grace Paramatma Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So this is a message from our Guru Maharaj, the GBC, His Grace Virbahu Prabhu. Dear Temple President Prabhupada Dev Prabhu and all other members of our ISKCON family attached to the Hare Krishna Study Center, may the blessings of Srila Prabhupada be with all of us on this joyous occasion. All glories to His divine grace. Regrettably, I am not able to attend the celebration. Regrettably, not being able to attend the celebration, I am herewith sending a short, fortunate exchange I had with my dear god sister, the late Sharadiya Devi, who, along with her husband, my dear god brother, Vaikuntanath Prabhu, were the pioneers in taking Krishna consciousness to Guyana in the early 70s. I included my correspondence with her in a compilation. I included in my correspondence with her a compilation of letters by Srila Prabhupada showing his appreciation for this devotee couple, especially for their preaching in Trinidad and Guyana. It is clear from the letters how interested Srila Prabhupada was to see Sri Chaitanya's Hare Krishna movement established in Guyana and Trinidad, even to the point of making arrangements on several occasions for his personal visit there. We thus conclude that Srila Prabhupada must be very grateful and satisfied with all of you, his Guyanese followers, that have fulfilled this desire of his in such a grand style with so many temples, including the beautiful Hare Krishna Study Center. I feel much honored, privileged, and blessed to be serving Srila Prabhupada in Guyana with the mission of conveying his blessings and gratitude to all of you who have made him your life and soul in the service of Sri Sri Nitai Gaurachandra. Hare Krishna. With much emotion and affection, I remain yours in the loving service of Srila Prabhupada in Guyana. Virbahu Das, the Governing Body Commission.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So we can bring in His Grace Damaraj Dev Prabhu, who is serving as our GBC Secretary for Guyana. His Grace Damaraj Prabhu, of course, originally from Guyana, but for many years now he is living and serving in our ISKCON Alachua community in the U.S. So over to His Grace Damaraj Dev Prabhu.
Nama Om Vishnu Panaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Srila Bhaktivedanta Samaniti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharne Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne. So I want to thank all of you for assembling here either physically or virtually in celebrating this 5th anniversary of the opening of the Hare Krishna Study Center and the moving over to their Lordship Sri Sri Nitai Gaurachandra to their new home. Actually, this event is not an ordinary one, and commemorating here today is something extremely significant. Lord Chaitanya himself, he could have spread this movement all over the world without assistance. But what he did is that he gave a very small contribution, apparently. All he contributed was a handful of verses, the Shikshashtaka. But what he also did was he infused the devotees and empowered them to spread this movement all over the world, as he himself predicted. He infused knowledge and empowerment into the six Goswamis, and also to Shamananda Pandit and Narottam and a host of devotees at that time who appeared about 100 years after Lord Chaitanya left. And that trickled down to Srila Prabhupada, who was the main personality in Lord Chaitanya's prediction of spreading this holy name of Krishna to every town and village throughout the world. So we saw that Srila Prabhupada did this in every continent within a short span of about 12 years or so, that he spread this movement. But it didn't stop there. That was just the beginning. Srila Prabhupada himself said that he has created a framework. He built this skyscraper, he built a skeleton, he created a framework, and now we should work to fill in the gaps. By that he indicates that what he has done is just the beginning. He set the standard, he built the structure, the foundation, and we can take it from here. So, in Guyana we saw that in the 1970s that ISKCON manifested and started there. And in the beginning days, it was only a handful of devotees, nothing much was there, and most significantly, this movement was seen by the Guyana population as one of an undereducated group of people. And that posed a great challenge. Even when I joined this movement, there was some criticism that he has a high school education. Why is he so silly to join the Hare Krishna movement, or the Haribols as they call us? So that was the impression. But by the Lord's arrangement and the sincerity of the devotees, this grew, and Lord Chaitanya's plan continues to manifest. So this is significant to note that every plan that happened, everything that happened, it's a direct arrangement by the Lord that patiently manifests and unfolds. So as our temple grew, something very significant happened, and that is the manifestation of this temple, Hare Krishna Study Center, which took place in the most important part of the country, in the middle of the academic institution, just outside of the greatest faculty in Guyana, the university. So, from this criticism of being undereducated, we have grown to be in front of the educational institution, the educational institution of Guyana. And now we have members in all categories of education. So that's a very significant improvement and moving forward. So the manifestation of this Hare Krishna Study Center, as some of you might have recalled, there were a lot of obstacles in the beginning, but thanks to the determination of Prabhupada Dev Prabhu, and very significantly, the cooperation of his very dear wife, Vishaka Mataji, then their young son, and all the devotees who worked tirelessly, hand in hand, literally day and night, to make this project happen. Srila Prabhupada said that Lord Chaitanya can spread this movement all by himself, but we need everyone's cooperation. He mentioned like that in Venezuela. So everyone who participated, it is understood, as Lord Chaitanya himself said, that it's a direct empowerment from him, and to make this happen and to give the devotees the glories. So Hare Krishna Study Center manifested, grew at a fairly rapid rate, comparatively speaking, and established its roots in a very significant part of the country. So this we should understand, that's a very significant step in Lord Chaitanya's movement, this framework that Srila Prabhupada gave. And the fact that their Lordship Sri Sri Nitai Gaurachandra decide to reside here, it's a direct plan of their Lordships. So it's a great opportunity for all the devotees who are performing services there and taking part in the daily services and the preaching mission over there, in this very significant, again, part of the country, that you are all here making these great sacrifices. And note for sure that it's all being recognized by the Lord. So I wanted to take a very special moment to thank again all the devotees, Prabhupada Dev Prabhu and the whole management team that's there, Radhikishore, Sanjay, Prabhu, Sachi Sutta, and the host of other devotees who are there that I may not all be familiar with. And those who have made the sacrifices to make this temple manifest, to maintain the programs, to carry on the preaching activities there. It's a great opportunity and honor. As devotees, we take great pride in understanding that we have the opportunity to very humbly engage in Krishna's service in this way. And Lord Chaitanya recognizes every activities, every step of the way. So we should not feel that it's something ordinary. It's a great opportunity to be able to be a soldier in Lord Chaitanya's movement. Just like Arjuna took the opportunity in being that soldier to execute Krishna's mission. Similarly, all of us should feel very privileged that we have this glorious and wonderful opportunity and take it seriously. So by performing these services, we are actually paving our way back home, back to Godhead, in the guise of doing these services. So again, we want to thank all the devotees who participate to start, maintain, and daily engage in this service. So I want to thank you very much, and I hope and pray that Lord Chaitanya's mercy is always there with you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Damraj Dev Prabhu,
Nama Om Vishnu.
to be so kind and to take your time off. Damraj Prabhu would have recorded this, his presentation earlier, as he probably in a classroom setting right now or online. He's attending the GBC College. He's coming up to final stage, final few weeks before his final exams. So thank you very much, Damraj Dev Prabhu. We hope you will, view this later on, and it is always encouraging to see and hear from you. So we'll have a little shift in the program. Hari Kirtan will continue a little reading that was sent by our GVC, Srila Veerbabu Prabhu. And then we will go to that video. We thought that the video of what transpired 5 years ago will be of much inspiration and encouragement for all of us. So even for those who will have to speak after, the video may already speak quite a bit, but it will encourage or add to what you will have to say. So, Hari Kirtan.
Hare Krishna. So the first two letters that Guru Maharaj has given us here, the first one is his correspondence with Sharadiya Mataji, in which he says he's thanking her for, apparently they met at Govinda's in our Los Angeles temple, and he expressed deep gratitude by saying, "Thank you for offering Trinidad and Guyana to Srila Prabhupada." Just imagine you're telling someone, I'll read that again. "Thank you for offering Trinidad and Guyana to Srila Prabhupada." An offering that, as shown in these letters, he was very interested in receiving. Srila Prabhupada ki. I personally thank you, as it has given me the opportunity of offering a smaller service to His Divine Grace. Hare Krishna. With best wishes and admiration, I remain your servant, Veerabahu Das. Mataji then responds by saying how nice it was to meet Guru Maharaj in LA. That was during the Rath Yatra. And she says, "Those were very special times in Trinidad and Guyana. Previously, I had tried to please our Guru with some gifts, but it never worked out. But when I attempted to please him by spreading Lord Chaitanya's message, then I knew the secret to please him. Thank you for your kind words. They remain appreciated. Thank you for sending these letters. Quite often I think about the messages conveyed in them. I had an idea that Srila Prabhupada wanted to go to Trinidad, but I didn't know when, or that this idea was before his voyage to USA." So then Guru Maharaj encloses a series of letters, which we'll read one and then we'll go to the video. This is a letter to Ramaraya by Srila Prabhupada, Los Angeles, 6th of November, 1968. My dear Raya Rama, please accept my blessings. I have received one letter from Guyana, and one gentleman, Shriman Pitambar Dindayal, is very much interested in our Krishna consciousness movement. He has invited me to go there. So first of all, I want to send him some various literatures and pamphlets about our society. So you please send him some back to Godheads, our new prospectus, the press cuttings, etc., which will be of good information for him. Also, please send here to Los Angeles some of the new prospectus, a good amount, as they are very nice. Hoping you are well, your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta, Swami Srila Prabhupada. Address of Shriman Dindayal, Shriman Pitambar Dindayal, Rosignol, Borbis, Guyana, South America.
Devo. So now we'll we'll take you back 5 years ago. Some of the little glimpses of what would have transpired, and we do hope that this will awaken some of the experiences you had, those of you who would have been here personally, witnessed the moving over and taking the Lord into their new altar, the Sringasan here, with a huge Mandir Pravesham Yagya that was performed. So, Hari Kirtan, you ready?
I'll read it for you. Now you have gone to Guyana. Dr. Balwant Singh has written me how well you are being received there also. So take advantage and immediately open a center. It is a good field for selling our literature, and the inhabitants are cooperative. So it is the ideal opportunity to open a center. So Trinidad or Guyana, one center must be established very nicely. Just like we have our LA center and so many smaller centers, similarly, in that quarter of the world, there must be one very nice center. So concentrate your efforts in that way, and when things are ready, I shall send you deities, and shall also come. But he never physically came.
So Harkirtan did that video to show that Prabhupada didn't physically come.
This temple will be a spiritual landmark that will be offered in celebrating Guyana and ISKCON 50. So it will be near and dear to many, thousands and thousands of people, years to come.
We all have an opportunity. Are we just going to be some witness, some spectators? Or are we going to, as Krishna say, Pranayir, Artayir, Dhiya, Vacha, Shreya, Acharanam Sada. It is the duty of every human being to perform welfare work for others with Pran, our very life, Arta, our wealth, Dhiya, intelligence, Vacha, our words, everything we have at our disposal. The best worship of Krishna is to use all these things for the deliverance of the souls of this world. This particular preaching project, as you will hear about in the following days festival and next month, it's one that is certainly meant to benefit everyone in this country. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaura Chandra ki jai.
Paramakarunam Pahudvijanam Nitai Gorachandra Paramakarunam Pahudvijanam Nitai Gorachandra Sabhavataram Sarashiromani Kevalahanam Dakanda Sabhavataram Sarashiromani Kevalanandakanda Paramakarunam Pahudvijanam Nitai Gorachandra Paramakarunam.
So just before we move on to anything else, don't be confused about our name. The previous name when you were at Turkey, which we already moved, it was in the My Family Study Center. But here at Lapland, from today onwards, it will be known as ISKCON of Guyana, Hare Krishna Study Center, Georgetown. ISKCON of Guyana, Hare Krishna Study Center, Georgetown. You want to repeat that? ISKCON of Guyana, Hare Krishna Study Center, Georgetown.
Sudridha Vishwasa Kori Visaya Chaliya Sera Semajiya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari Visaya Chaliya Sera Semajiya Mukhe
So once the fire is with your camphor, then we are going to now invoke the form of the fire, which in this, for the first part of the yajna, is Vaishnava Namati. Because the fire takes different names for different functions. So first of all, we worship Vaishnava Namati. So we offer mudras, worship and invoke the fire with mudras. Om Vaishnav Namagni Hagacha Agnikam Vaishnav Namasi Shri Vishnu Teda Devayam Om Vaishnav Namagni Hagacha Iha Tishna Iha Sari Devi Iha Sari Vidyasva Iha Satmukho Bhava Gopal Mantra Nyas Mudra Vimrigaya Namaha Krishnaya Shri Svaha Govindaya Shikhaya Vashat Govindra Gargaya Varvaya Nishaya Vashat Svaha Astaya Vat Om Vaishnav Namakriye Namaha Eha Amriti Guru Parame Guru. Now that the sacred fire has been lit, we offer worship with a special prayer, which is the first 4 lines of each of the Vedas, which is known as the Brahma Yajna. So, have camphor lamps ready. One can use gold cut to put camphor. And have flopper petals ready also. We have some here. Just purify them.
Sunijandra Gunagata Paramakaruna Pahamuijana Nitai Gora Chandra Paramakaruna Pahamuijana Nitai Gora Chandra Samad Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Okay, so
Lights, lights.
if we have enjoyed this celebration, if we have had an experience of a lifetime, if this is once in a lifetime moment that we're going to cherish, let's hear a huge hallelujah. You mean I said all of that just to get a little hallelujah? Let's hear a huge hallelujah. All of that has been made possible by the inspiration and guidance of our good friend here, Sachi the right message, right foot. That is, you have one right hand. Right foot, Sachi. This switch here, Sachi. This switch, right foot. Out of there. See the two left hands. How do you go? Alright. Rupa Goswami Prabhu, I only informed the name a couple of times, but he has been the guidance, the inspiration behind the success of whatever we have, whatever has happened here today. So will everybody to please raise your hands in gratitude as we chant one Mahamantra. This festival will be incomplete if you don't express our gratitude to this very wonderful, humble, extraordinary servant of Srila Prabhupada. So together, everybody, one loud Mahamantra. That was very good. But let's do it together. 3 honey bowls. Loudly. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Anthony.
Hare Krishna. Wow. I don't know if they can still, I mean, Hare Kirtan and all the devotees over there can still shout out Mahamantra so loudly. I don't know if they can still do that, but yes, it was a transcendental experience. As you heard, many persons said that one of its kind. We don't know, we can only hope and pray that pandemic, finish, and that somehow or the other we can, rekindle that kind of an atmosphere. Just imagine you're in the temple room. In that atmosphere, it was overwhelming. It was, transforming. It was on a different plane.
Guru Maharaj just said, he just sent a message, the diamond-like jewel temple of Georgetown.
Wow. Rivo. So Hare Kirtan Hare Kirtan, you still have anything else to read?
10 pages.
So you have to summarize it for us. After Hare Kirtan, do a little bit more reading from our dear Guru Maharaj, or GBC, Veerabahu Maharaj. Then we will hear a little from His Grace Paramatma Prabhu, Shantavigra Prabhu. And we have a pre-recorded something from Rupa Goswami Prabhu that will be very interesting for us to hear from all the way from London, England. What he remember and what he will want to say to us this evening. So Hare Kirtan, and then we'll hear a few thoughts from Paramatma Prabhu.
So I think Guru Maharaj catered for a program going over time, so he highlighted a few sections. Letter to Gaura Sundara. I'm just going to read the highlighted parts. Regarding my plans for January, I can't say as yet to give a definite answer because I've recently been invited to the South American country, Guyana, at the beginning of the new year. I've included, so he's referencing Mr. Dindayal, who was the person who had extended the invitation. Now a letter to Balwant Singh, Dr. Balwant Singh. He's telling Dr. Balwant Singh, 2 of my disciples, husband and wife, have already gone to Trinidad. They're somewhere in Frederick Street in Trinidad. The couple's name are Vaikuntanath Das Adhikari and Sharadiya Devi Dasi. You can arrange to call this couple, Vaikuntanath and Sharadiya, and after their arrival it may be possible, if so requested, to send more men by suitable arrangement. I'm interested to open many centers all over the world, and if you can help us in this matter for opening a center in Guyana, it will be a great service to the society. I remember Mr. Pitambar Dindayal. He met our men in our London temple, but the negotiation was not mature for financial difficulty. Then comes the same excerpt that we had in the beginning of the video. I don't know if you want to continue, and then we can.
Hare Krishna, Paramat Prabhu, you're there. Huh? Shantavigra Prabhu, you're there. You like to say a few words? Shantavigra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, go right ahead, Prabhu.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I remember my coming to participate in that, phenomenal festival was an interesting one. I was teaching at the time, and I think I came directly from work. One friend dropped me in the airport, and I took a certain amount of days off of work so that I wouldn't have to put in any official leave or anything like that. And nobody knew where I went, from work. And my wife had, orders not to tell them where I was, just tell them I couldn't come to the phone because I forwarded my calls to her, because I was sort of running away from my official duties as a teacher in Trinidad. And interestingly enough, so a friend brought me from work to the airport, and then from the festival, a few days after, I took the early morning flight out and went straight to work from the airport. Somebody picked me up from there. So that was an interesting experience by itself. But what I saw when I was accustomed doing yagyas, like myself and Rupa Goswami. He was, significantly more expert than me. But I had been training under him for several years, so I was familiar with, doing yagyas and doing, small business openings and all these things. But what I saw when I came there, what all the devotees had put together, such elaborate things, I was completely blown away. So as soon as we got some chance, Rupa Goswami had to debrief me on everything that I was supposed to do, the sequence of events, and I was so surprised that, everything practically went off without a hitch. One of my fonder memories from that yagya, it wasn't captured in the video, but that generally myself and Rupa Goswami for yagyas are known to be the priests who deal in very big fires. We like to see the fire very big and opulent. And what we saw the next morning, because the video captured what was going on the day of the festival, the preliminary preparations, the bringing Shri Gauranitai from the temple at the home to their new home that the devotees had lovingly constructed. And what was evident from myself and Rupa Goswami's dealing with yagya fire was that under the ceiling over the spot where I was sitting at my fire, and the ceiling over the spot where Rupa Goswami was sitting to tend to his fire, both those the ceiling tiles over both those areas were scorched and had to be replaced. Whereas at the other two fires, the ceiling tiles were perfectly intact. So apart from open the temple in grand fashion, we also probably had to, we were the cause of the first repairs to the new temple by the execution of the yagya. And it was such a wonderful experience. It's not something I think I will be or might experience again in this life. to be part of something as wonderful as that. But one thing that comes to mind, uh, it's very wonderful to reminisce on the beginning of something, and but even more important than that is to see how that thing from its beginning can continue to grow. And over the years, the project has grown, the building has become more complete. And within this year, last year, one of the purposes of the facility was to facilitate, or is to facilitate, devotees and persons in general study of Srila Prabhupada's books, and thus the name Hare Krishna Study Center. And one of the recent developments, which was catalyzed by the sincere desire of Prabhupada, Dev Prabhu, and other devotees in Guyana, was that that center in Guyana, by extension, and also Trinidad, as being part of that, and Suriname, that we have officially been recognized as a Bhakti Shastri providing region in ISKCON. In other words, previously people would either have to, go to India, either to Mayapur or Vrindavan, or online through Radhadesh Temple or some other facility to get the opportunity to study Bhakti Shastri. But that desire of Srila Prabhupada for persons to systematically study his books has been made possible. And one of the catalysts, I would say, for that desire being fulfilled is the existence of this very important temple. So looking back over the last 5 years, it was a very grand opening, and we all have very fond memories of that. But at least 5 years hence, the building has improved, and the type of service that the temple, and not only that temple, but other temples as well, would be able to offer to the people of Guyana, devotees and not yet devotees, has also increased in capacity. And that is something that the devotees in Guyana should be very proud of. That we're able to offer more services to the people of Guyana and the devotees. And looking forward another 5 years, and another 10 years, another 50 years, we should see that the temple should continue to grow in the service that we're able to offer to the people. Just one purport I was reading just yesterday in Srimad Bhagavatam, that Srila Prabhupada, and I was reflecting on that because where the temple is situated in Guyana is a very unique position. Srila Prabhupada was making the point while Narad Muni was giving his history to Vyasadeva, that the forest is considered the mode of goodness. In another place, Srila Prabhupada says that the city is considered to be in the mode of passion, and a brothel or a bar is considered to be in the mode of ignorance. So I was just reflecting on the unique position of this particular temple, even though it's on a very main road near the main campus, just on the outskirts of the capital of Georgetown. One can say that it's sort of situated in the city. Just outside of it is a huge lotus field in the canal just near the temple. I don't know if you call it a canal or a trench. I know it have different names that you call it depending on the size, but a huge field of lotus just and it's just near to the beach as well, the seawall. So that is like in the mode of goodness. And it's just down the road from Sheriff Street. It's not very far away, which is like the liming spot in Georgetown, Guyana, as far as I was informed. So that temple is located sort of on the cusp of both goodness, passion, and ignorance in terms of situation. But Srila Prabhupada points out in that purport that despite where a temple may be located, a temple is beyond ignorance, a temple is beyond passion, and a temple is beyond goodness. A temple is completely transcendental. Why? Because the Lord has appeared there. So the first thing we did in establishing the temple was offer that as the new home of Sri Sri Gauranitai in Georgetown. So the Lord was first established, then it becomes a temple. So the Lord is in the center of the activity, therefore it is transcendental. And therefore persons can come to the temple under the guidance of the devotees and get access to transcendence through the worship of the deity and the association of the devotees. It is not separate. The temple is certainly transcendental, but what helps the temple to live up to that name of transcendence or that goal or situation of transcendence is that the Lord is there and the devotees are there. So the people in general can come to the temple and associate directly with the Lord and his devotees and thereby get their start in spiritual life and continue to be nourished in their spiritual growth. So the responsibility is on all of us to maintain the transcendental atmosphere of the temple by the way, one, we as individuals or representatives of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Sri Gauranitai take seriously to our spiritual practice that keeps us situated in transcendence. What does that mean? We have to very sincerely, attentively, and regularly chant the holy name. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And secondly, we have to share that in our association to the extent we deal with each other in a loving way, in a caring way, in an honest way. In the society of devotees, to that extent, when persons come into that association, they directly are able to experience transcendence despite their conditioned nature. And it helps us to grow, and it helps to encourage others to come into that association, and it helps to encourage others to remain in that association. What to speak of others, but ourselves also. So the temple is certainly a transcendental place. The temple has certainly grown over the last 5 years. And it is my sincere prayer, and I'm sure it is the sincere prayer of everybody, that the temple continues to grow. Another 5 years, another 10 years, another 50 years. But that takes work. It takes personal responsibility. We have to be committed to the spiritual practice. And secondly, we have to be committed to each other. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Antavigraha Prabhu. So just before we bring in Paramat Prabhu, I'd just like to mention that Shantavigraha Prabhu was saying that he doesn't know in this lifetime if he will participate and perform another ceremony to the one that was done 5 years ago. So Shantavigraha Prabhu, we humbly pray for your blessings and causeless mercy. We may say that when we started out this project is meant or were conceived on the level that it is a satellite project to preach, at the college and the University of Guyana and in and around Georgetown, that a magnificent project is yet to manifest. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Paramat Prabhu, a few minutes, a few thoughts, and then we'll hear His Grace Rupa Goswami Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada Dev Prabhu, Hare Krishna, all the devotees assembled online for this special program, the reflection on the 5th anniversary of the coming over of Sri Sri Parama Karuna Nitai Gaura Chandra. My internet was going up and down. We had several blackouts. I didn't, heard the entire program. I saw little piece of the clips, and it's very, very, very impressive. It brought back so many wonderful memories, right, of what transpired 5 years ago. I was listening to the GBC's letters, interaction with Sharadeya Mataji and Vaikuntanath Prabhu, and some letters that Hari Kirtan Rasa Prabhu read, and especially those letters sent to Pitambar Dindyal, Dr. Balwant Singh, the same Balwant Singh, who is the founder of the Balwant Singh Hospital, and Suresh Chandra. I remember way in with 77, 78, I happened to meet this Suresh Chandra, and he showed me an original letter that he got from Prabhupada, signed, by Prabhupada himself, and it's in the Veda base, and you could see from all these letters, it was very, very clear how Prabhupada had intention to come to Guyana. In fact, he wanted to come through Gandhi Bhavan. At that time, Dr. Balwant Singh was the president, and in this way he had been corresponding with him. I remember paintings also of Sharadi Mataji in one mandir in the quarantine, and all in all, we could say that Srila Prabhupada had his heart in Guyana, and he wanted to come here actually, but after he inquired from his senior disciples, they told him that at that time, the country was was leaning towards communism, and I think the impression he got then, he came as far as Venezuela, Caracas in 1976, and then he canceled, his coming to Guyana. So why I'm saying all this is that since then Prabhupada sent several of his disciples here. There was Hridayananda Maharaj, there was Jagjivan, Vaikuntanath and his wife, and many others came afterward. And ISKCON, in its fledgling days, was largely, struggle. But then I want to say that this Georgetown Temple, this Georgetown project, right, is the culmination of the effort of all that we have done, or all that we have achieved, if you want to put it that way, within ISKCON of Guyana. And the temple is named as such, Hare Krishna Study Center, ISKCON of Guyana. So it is our premier project, our premier temple. The videos I saw actually brought so many reflections. I was very, very impressed, with the enthusiasm shown by all the devotees, the deep emotion, spiritual emotion that was created, as a result of the whole planning. And I mean, we can't explain. I mean, I was knocked over in Guyana language by the Vedic ceremony. I never saw something like that, and it will, the impressions will be with me for the next, for the rest of my life. With the mudras, I never saw all those mudras with the, with the hand, the mantras with particular meter, the blissful crowd, the blissful kirtan, and I was very, very, I was so absorbed in the program then that I didn't saw anything, that was going on. I was so absorbed in different areas, but then I in the video I saw highlighted was Kratu Maharaj. He's an ISKCON disciple. Disciple of Srila Prabhupada and initiating guru. And I met him in Suriname, and I asked him, why don't you come to Guyana? And he said, didn't you see me? I was just like in so many parts of the program. And then I see this video now, and now I remember faintly seeing him there. But on another note, I saw in the video also wonderful God brothers, who went through thick and thin, to establish ISKCON in the early days. One of the first disciple of Virbahu Maharaj, and also one of the earliest devotee to start this movement. He even started before me. He was in the picture there, and that was Radhika Madhava. He has left us, and I saw his enthusiasm, the program, and the kirtan and everything. And Radhakanta Prabhu, also very, very old senior Vaishnavas. So, I think this video, should be published permanently, to highlight Guyana on YouTube. Srila Rupa Goswami, he has enumerated 64 activities by which a devotee in the beginning stage of devotional service can engage all his senses in the service of the Lord. And we all know those 5 among the 64 are the most important, and one of them is serving the deity form of the Lord with great faith and devotion. And he explained that practicing, these items, especially, these 5 items, 64 items a day, assures us rapid advancement in devotional service, which culminates in love of Krishna. And then he went on to in the nectar of devotion to repeatedly explain that the Lord is present in the deity form. Srila Rupa Goswami specifically enjoined devotees to worship the deity with full faith. And I'm just earlier in the day, I was just watching one purport where Srila Prabhupada said in the 4th canto, 12th chapter, verse number 17, in the purport, Prabhupada said, worship of the deity, Archa Vigraha, we should understand that it is not idol worship. The Archa Vigraha is an incarnation of the Lord in a form appreciable by a devotee. Therefore, devotees engage in the temple in the service of the Lord as Archa Vigraha, in a form made of material objects such as stone, metal, wood, jewels, or paint. All these are called stula or physical representations, since the devotees follow the regulative principles of worship, even though the Lord is there in his physical form. The devotee understands that he is none different from the original spiritual form. Thus, the devotee gets the benefit of achieving the ultimate goal of life, that is to say, becoming always absorbed in the thoughts of the Lord. So it's just like inadvertently I was reading this early in the day, and I thought it's very relevant, to this program that is being aired on Zoom here this evening. So it's getting late. It's already 8:34 on my computer. It's showing, but I'd like to acknowledge how wonderful it is to have these reflections here this afternoon. This wonderful program arranged by the devotees of Hare Krishna Study Center. And it's wonderful to see the devotion and the dedication with which the devotees there serve their Lordships Parama Karuna, Nitai Gaurachandra, who have kindly agreed to take their residence here in our Georgetown Center. So let us all understand how great our fortune is, to have their darshans and their blessings every day. With these few words, I'd like to thank the organizers. I'd like to thank Prabhupada Dev and his family, and also Sachi Sutan and everyone else who are there on a daily basis to make sure that their lordships are being served very nicely, and the functions of the temple are going on so nicely. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Paramat Prabhu. So we'll continue this, the reflection and the observance of the fifth Mandir Pravesham ceremony that would have took place 5 years ago, as their lordship would have moved here into their new home, their beautiful home. I myself, would like to have some reflections on what would have took place 5 years ago. His Grace Rupa Goswami, who was our priest in charge, he have an 18 minutes presentation. We will just, and it's rare to have Rupa Goswami Prabhu, even to say something in public, what to say of doing an 18 minutes video for us. So we will just take a few minutes of Rupa Goswami, each 4 or 5 minutes of Rupa Goswami Prabhu's words from that video this evening to honor him and to hear, that all the devotees get to hear him. But we will replay that whole, 18 minutes video Sunday morning as part of our Sunday program. And we will continue the reflections and the celebration of, the temple Mandir Pravesham ceremony. And after that few minutes, we will hear a few minutes kirtan, which we promise will be a little teaser, you may say, a little, something to build our expectation or enthusiasm, that for the 5 days grand official inauguration ceremony will be from the 13th to the 17th of next month. So from the 13th to the 16th, which will be Tuesday, July 13th will be Tuesday, to 16th, Friday, there will be 4 evenings of kirtan, overwhelming kirtan. The boys are expecting to do something out of this world, transforming the temple room with decoration and all that. And the 17th will be virtual Ratha Yatra in the temple room, as we did last year. As you know, we still cannot go out in the street with Lord Jagannath. So we will have Chota, Jagannath, in their cart in the temple room, and there will be overwhelming kirtan and prasadam distribution will go on. And then the Sunday, which will be the 18th of next month, will be an official program in the sense of some presentations and some reflections on the fifth, celebrating the 5th inauguration anniversary of the temple. So let us hear a little His Grace Rupa Goswami Prabhu, and then we'll get a little kirtan before we close this evening proceeding. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas. Dandava pranams to all of you. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhyaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Om jnanatimirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prajarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyareshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thank you very much for this opportunity on this glorious occasion of the 5th anniversary of the opening of the Hare Krishna Study Center of Georgetown, ISKCON of Guyana in Georgetown. that event was a very, very momentous event, and I was blessed by the Vaishnavas there with the opportunity to do some service, to serve all of you and to serve this great project. So I was asked by His Grace Prabhupada Dev Prabhu that I should say a few words. So I'll just try to speak a little bit about what I recollect of the events, starting with number one, when I was first told about the wonderful project by Prabhupada Dev Prabhu and his family. We met in Panama on the event, the auspicious occasion of Sri Jagannath Rath Yatra. And that's when he first, told me all about this beautiful project. And he then asked me if I can, or arrange to perform the Mandir Pravesham, the opening of the center, and to do all of the auspicious rituals, etc. And I felt that this was a really, really great blessing and a great opportunity given to me to offer this service. So I really, really humbly accepted, and that was it. We tried our best to then start making all arrangements. The first arrangement was to look for an auspicious muhurtam, an auspicious day for opening the center. I'd started my research, and I thought it was such an important event that I even spoke to my teacher, who also helped me. I gave my suggestions, and she also helped me, to decide finally which would be the date, which happened to be 8th of June, 2016. And that was presented to Prabhupada Dev Prabhu, who graciously accepted it. And then all systems were, going in order to quickly arrange everything, which was a lot of work, obviously. It always is for that grand opening. And arrangements were made for my journey to Guyana, came to Guyana, and when I first arrived, like in all, Hare Krishna events and festivals, etc., things don't seem to be actually ready. And that's exactly what I thought when I saw the the preparations. I thought that there was so much work, and it was just a couple of days before. And I thought, this is so much work, but always devotees, by the grace of the Lord, are able to put together a wonderful presentation for the Lord. And quickly, within that same couple of days, everything was in place. So much work went into it, but everything looked so beautiful. Mother Vishaka, she was in charge of procuring all of the items that we needed for the ceremony, which were a lot. And they got a lot of these items from India, and then procured a lot of items also locally in Guyana. The preparations of the Yagya Kunds and the Yagya Shala, the place where the sacrificial events would take place, took quite some time to arrange. It was very, very grand, and I'm sure you all will see photos of it. And but all of the devotees, they put their hands together. They sacrificed a lot. One of my chief assistants was Shuddha Prem Prabhu, and he really, really helped a lot, even though he had some very important exams, and I was a little bit worried about him and his exams. But then I quickly realized that there's nothing to worry with respect to Shuddha Prem and examinations, etc. And we arranged everything. The 7th of June, we had the Adivas ceremony, a wonderful Adivas ceremony.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. So we'll pause at Adivas ceremony that Rupa Goswami Prabhu given his account on what would have took place, and you can see, he have a lot of it, maybe the Sachi Sutta and some of the devotees here can make some notes, can probably interview these devotees and make some notes of what memories they had being here and participating in such an important event. Nevertheless, as we said, we want to give you a little teaser of what will happen, or what we will all gear up for next month, as we'll be honored those 5 days celebration of the inauguration of the temple. So we'll have a little kirtan by His Grace Mayapu Chanjadoya Prabhu. And we want to thank each and every one of you who would have joined us virtually, the devotees who would have participated here, the cooks, the pujaris, everyone who would have contributed towards making today's celebration a grand one in the sense of, cameras and online and send out links and all that. Is a different way of inviting these days. These days we don't go with, printed invitations, because everything is online. We probably had about 10, 15 devotees in the temple room here. That is mostly the people who would have been involved in a different service area, and the kirtanyas and the people behind the camera and the computer and all that. Otherwise, everybody at home, attending satsang, getting darshan, the lotuses were special on the altar this evening. So thanks to each and every one of you, all the cooks and all the pujaris, all the assistants, the kirtanyas, everyone who would have, made contribution, the devotees who came in on Zoom, Damaraj Dev, Rajrishi Prabhu, my dear Guru Maharaj, or GBC, Virabahu Prabhu, Paramatma Prabhu, Shantavigra Prabhu, Rupa Goswami Prabhu, each and every one of you, thank you all very much to participate in a very significant way. And as I said, again, we are humbly inviting you from now. We will continue another session Sunday morning as part of our Sunday Love Feast. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And let us all participate in the beautiful kirtan to their Lordship Shri Shri Paramakarna Nitai Gaura Chanja. Hare Krishna. We will humbly request our operator to please also give us some glimpses of pictures to again refresh our memories and our reflections of what would have took place 5 years ago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everybody together. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan Yajna ki jai. Shri Shnitai Gaura Chandra ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So we'd just like to thank everybody for attending tonight's celebration, which is the 5th anniversary of the Mandir Pravesham here at ISKCON of Guyana Hare Krishna Study Center. Thank you for attending online and those who have physically come also.